Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to iCommand. We've got another Season 8 playtest game for you. I'm trying to pump out as many of these as I can so you guys can enjoy seeing the new cards in action. And this time we've got myself playing against Morgan, and this was our Week 1 playtest league game. So this is our scheduled game. And you get to see the Boba Gar Super Commandos list in action once again. This is the list I played in a previous game. But this time you do get to see some new cards in action, which are the Baze and Shuret, so the Rogue One team. And actually, Morgan's got a list completely themed around Rogue One this time. So let's take a look. Looks like he hasn't actually revealed his cards yet, so let's see. So we've got Shuret and Baze, as we mentioned. We've got Saw Gerrera, K2SO, Jyn Erso, and then Hera and Chopper. Now, this, like I said, this is themed around the movie Rogue One, and Morgan's logic for including Hera and Chopper is that they were featured in the Rogue One film. Hera gets called out over the intercom system at the Rebel base, and Chopper actually makes a cameo. So I'm gonna hopefully see, let's see if he'll flip his cards over. Yeah, there they are. I do want to catch his setup movement. So there's his list there, you can see it. And so now he's gonna resolve Hera's Smooth Landing and Cassian's Strike Team ability. There they are. So giving power tokens to Cassian, Saw, Turret, and Baze. And we are playing on the old Chopper Base Attalon map. So this was an IACP tournament map. One that I quite like, at least the non-Krykna mission. I think that one's not very popular, but this one's Powered Perimeter. So at the start of each round, we randomly choose out of one of these three colors of objectives, and we put a strain token on them, and then at the end of each round, each player that controls one of those objectives gets 2 VPs for all the strain tokens, and they discard all of them. So they kind of build up over time randomly on the objectives. It's pretty fun. So once again, I am playing Super Commandos, Boba Fett, Gar Saxon, Jabba the Hutt, Elite Jawa, and C-3PO, along with Smuggling Compartment and Extra Armor, as well as Headhunter on Boba for some hand discard. And I have initiative, so I chose the left side. Figured that would give me a little bit of an advantage with that blocking terrain in the middle here, kind of like this area. And we can mention that, let's see, the only thing Morgan has extra is targeting computer on Baze Malbus, which I like quite a bit. So starting off here, we get the red and the green objectives. So right across the middle of the map. So I decided to pass here. Throwing cards up on the screen. Alright, Jyn Erso activating for Morgan. Going to play Planning here. And I should mention my starting hand is Assassinate, Worth Every Credit, and Element of Surprise. And I'm going to switch over to player 3 so I can show these cards. So there's Jyn Erso. I'm going to give out a Surge token to K2SO. And interestingly, I should talk about this list. So at first I thought it was kind of odd, seeing no 3PO or Gideon in this list, especially when it seemed like there was room to fit them in. However, this list actually works quite well, surprisingly well to me, just because all of the figures in this list are pretty much combat ready. Even Chopper can kind of mix it up when he needs to. And so he's got a lot of figures that just stick around, and even if you kill like 2 or 3 of his figures, he's still going to have a lot more left on the table. I talked about to the steering committee about this, how this list actually kind of felt, and it's hard to say this for people that weren't around during the era, but that's kind of how Spectre Cell felt a lot of the time, regardless of how broken they were. The reason that they felt really strong was because they didn't really have many support figures. So even when you killed one or two, you still had two, three, or four left on the table that you had to deal with. And so this felt very similar to me, but we'll see how that goes. And I realized, do we have? There we go. Okay, so activating Jabba and 3PO to focus up the Super Commandos. And we've got Saw activating. So there you see, I hope that actually, you could hear that. That was K2 talking. So that triggers K2 since Saw is a leader, so K2 is going to be tokened up here this round. So even without the focus, he's getting lots of power tokens, and that's kind of how how the Rogue One figures are all kind of themed. They're all themed around power tokens. K2 gets his own power tokens. Cassian and Jyn Erso give them out. Baze also generates power tokens. The only one that doesn't really get them is Chirrut. He actually did for a while. His original design, he was getting power tokens, but we found that it was just a lot of stuff going on, so that got scrapped. So he's kind of the odd one out of the Rogue One team. All right, so I activate my Super Commandos here using their wrist shield or shield gauntlet ability to gain a block token, moving up next to the objective. And Saw actually opened the door, and this is the first time I noticed. So I actually see that Morgan is trying to flank me around the top, the north end of the map here. And Morgan went a little early, forgot to let me activate my second Super Commando. So, but I think he's still going to do the same thing. So I'm going to keep this Super Commando back. Nice thing is they're mobile, so you can easily jump past that blocking terrain and get into the action if he needs to. And yeah, so I hadn't realized that Morgan had opened his door, so I decided to move my commando down to the south part of that blocking terrain. He's still not safe. My Super Commando is still definitely not safe from that. So what I do is I decide to use Gar Saxon to block line of sight to my Super Commando for next round, because I don't want him just taking pot shots at me from the north part of the map. Morgan moves Chirrut Imwe up to the middle door, and now here's where I activate Boba Fett. So this is where I realize I need to get some damage going here on Boba Fett. Also, I want to maximize the use of Headhunter, so this gives me a nice opportunity to discard some cards from Morgan's hand. So Headhunter, exhausting. So I use, let's see, Flamethrower here, and then reduce the strain by 1 to discard a random card from Morgan's hand, which is Urgency, and deal 1 damage and weaken to Cassian. And nicely, I am now blocking Cassian's line of sight down to Gar Saxon, unless Cassian overcommits and moves 3 spaces to here. There's no way he can now attack from up here, so he wouldn't be able to like peekaboo attack and then go back into hiding. The nice thing also, this reduces his attack power by weakening him. And now we've got Baze Malbus moving up to the middle door as well. And oh, I forgot to mention that he's got Chopper in his list as well. I guess I did mention that, but it's constraining me from putting anybody on the terminal because my Elite Jawa has 5 health. So I guess I could have put the Jawa on the terminal and taken 2 system shocks and discarded 2 cards from the deck, but I didn't. He does have Saw as well, so that would have left my Jawa easily within range of Saw's what is it called, Wanton Destruction ability for a free kill. I'd rather have Chopper be 3 points, your opponent draws 1 less command card, than 3 points, you gain 3 VPs and your opponent lose a figure. Like that's the math I'm doing in my head when I'm deciding how I want to play against Chopper. I will always put R2 though on the terminal against Chopper because R2 can at least heal, and he has 6 health instead of 5. So He only needs to take 1 strain to survive 2 system shocks, and he can heal 1 of that damage with whatever that ability is that he has, tune up or something. Alright, so that's the end of round 1. So you can see we've got Morgan kind of splitting up his forces here. He's got this group down in the middle of the map against the door, and he's got this group up here on the east side of the map. So flanking me effectively, and I've moved my figures kind of all into the middle area here. So I'm having to fight him on two fronts here. And that's, again, the power of this list that he's constructed. He's got so many strong figures since he has completely foregone any support package in his list, that he can pretty much surround somebody like this and not really give up a whole lot of strength. So going into the next round, Morgan's going to have initiative here. That's another problem, is that he's going to have initiative. Now, I've got a trick up my sleeve, but I need him to not open his door and kill one of my Super Commandos here. And mission tokens, scoring. So we both scored 2 VPs. I play fuel upgrade here to give myself my Super Commandos, Gar Saxon, and Boba all +1 evade and +1 speed. So great to have that start of round 2. Alright, so Morgan's got initiative. He's going to activate Cassian here. Probably wants to get him to safety, so he's going to attack Boba. Boba spends the block token from extra armor. Rolls a triple block, so with the weaken stopping the surges as well as all the evades from fuel upgrade and Boba, looks like he did 0 damage there and runs away. Alright, so now I see an opportunity, I think, in this turn. Yep, so I'm going to activate my commandos. And I have worth every credit in my hand, so I can actually open this door and attack Baze, which probably Morgan wasn't seeing. So now I get to double attack Baze here. So I mentioned I could kill either one, probably Chirrut or Baze here. But if I attack Chirrut from there, the problem is I take a -1 damage penalty. And I haven't seen Chirrut as much as I've seen Baze so far, so I decide, yeah, let's try and kill Baze here. So focused attack on Baze. Trying really hard not to trigger whatever Chirrut's doing. His ability only triggers when he's attacked by a range attack. So he doesn't protect other figures like some other Guardians do, which is nice. So it actually makes them very disincentivized from attacking him, which means I've noticed he lives a lot longer because people just don't want to attack into I'm one with the Force. Which I feel like we need to switch those abilities names. Alright, so Iron Will is being played by Baze since he is a Guardian. So that's going to stop a lot of the focus damage here. I do have Assassinate in hand, though. So 3 damage to Baze because of Iron Will, but I get to use one of those surges to at least grab a block token thanks to Gar Saxon's Airborne Leadership, sharing surge abilities with my Super Commandos. Now the problem is I can't use the rocket with the first commando because I only got 2 movement from worth every credit. I had to spend 1 to get up to the door. I had to spend 1 action to open the door. So I only had 1 movement point left after all of that. So I couldn't use the rocket, and I used 1 movement point to move back away from Chirrut. So interestingly, Chirrut can now interrupt to move up next to somebody. He does this to move next to my Super Commando. I feel like if he had moved up in front of the... So I think here's what I think he's thinking. He's probably thinking, okay, don't bother going for Baze Malbus, because he's got 11 health, so he's got 8 health left, right? Yeah, he's got 8 health left. So he's probably thinking I'm going to try and go for Chirrut to try and optimize a kill on Chirrut for, although Chirrut has 8 health too. So I don't know why I would go for that. So yeah, he could have just moved Chirrut right here, and I would not have been able to attack and use my rocket on Baze at that point because he's blocking line of sight. But he doesn't, so I move 2 spaces. I am now within range 3 of Baze, and I have line of sight, so I have 2 movement points left. What I should have done here is I should have used the rocket first, and then see if I needed to use Assassinate. So I roll, Baze rolls a Surge Cancel, so I am doing right now 2 plus 2. So I re-roll, which I think makes it worse actually, because now I'm doing 3 damage. Yes, that was a bad call. So what I should have done there is I should have re-rolled the green. In hindsight, I was looking at this, kept that surge on the yellow, re-roll the green, hope I get either a damage, hope I get a damage and a surge, which would be another surge for +2. Even if I roll a single surge, which is a 1 in 6, I would still be getting surge for +2, and it would be the same result. So I could have done better. I could have done 2 damage better if I had re-rolled the green. So 3 damage. I do some quick math. He's got 8 health left, right? So if I do Assassinate here, I'll take him down to 2 health, and I can hope to get the 1 in 3 chance on the rocket of getting the kill. So that's what I do, and I get lucky, and I get the kill. So that's spending 2 movement points from the Super Commando to use the jetpack rocket, and that kills Baze Malbus in 1 activation. I play Celebration, I get 4 more VPs, so I am at 12 VPs to Morgan's 2. And now the door is open, so I've invited the floodgates, but I at least have removed one of his most threatening figures, which is Baze, for sure. Alright. Oh, and I get 1 more from Jabba, so I'm actually at 13. Alright, Chirrut is going to activate, I'm going to attack Gar Saxon, who has 8 health and combat shield with the block token, so he's going to get an extra evade result from the block token. Oh, I actually emptied out my hand at this point, I just realized that too. So he did spend the damage token he got from Cassian, and now also using Hera's Called Shots ability. Nice placement of Hera there. Realizes that it's pointless to try to add an evade. Oh, that's right, Gar's also getting a +1 evade from fuel upgrade, so not super useful there since he rolled 0 surges on this attack. So he's doing 7, so 5 damage total to Gar Saxon there. And moving up, gonna play Grizzly Salvage or Grizzly Contest here to deal 2 damage to Gar, which puts him in range of Saw Gerrera's ability to ping for 1 damage. And Morgan takes the strain, discarding Final Stand and Element of Surprise. So lucky to get that out of his deck at least. So I go ahead and activate Gar because I realize he is very much in danger. Down to just 1 health. Of course, there's no escaping Saw. Unfortunately, I'd have to get completely away from all my other. Also, I realize there's a parting blow trap here. So the problem with that is if I attack Chirrut with Gar from where he is now, I'll die to I'm 1 with the Force. But if I move away, I might trigger Chirrut's parting blow card if he has it in hand, and then I won't get to attack at all. So I have to take a risk, right, because attacking him is a sure death, and I don't really want to lose Gar there. So I go ahead and try to move away, and he doesn't have it, thankfully. So now I go for the attack on Hera on my way out, doing 6 damage total, just shy of that kill. Really missing Bib Fortuna here. I actually realized later on that this list can be further optimized if I remove 3PO and the Jawa and add in Bib Fortuna and Afra instead. And cut a couple other cards to make room for that. So Hera gonna retreat now, Down to the objective. This gives me a chance to go with Boba, who now has a very nice little cluster of figures to hit with his flamethrower. Targeting Saw. So I make another mistake here. I have the ability to reduce strain by 1 on one of his figures for Headhunter. I really should have been doing that to K2, who has 10 health, instead of Saw, who has 7. I didn't realize really how efficient and tanky his list is in terms of how much health he has. And removing figures is really something you need to prioritize when you're playing against a list like that just has a ton of health and like a lot of bodies. So the chip damage would have been a lot more useful on Saw to be able to then take out with like 1 attack if you went down to like 5 or 4 health. But it's not as useful on K2 since I can't play any command cards when I attack him either. So we're doing an attack here with Boba, who has 1 movement point left. I believe I played Hit and Run. Oh no, I don't have any cards in my hand. So just 1 movement point left. So 2 damage on... that was on Cassian. So I was attacking Cassian, but he rolled a black, and I forgot that Cassian doesn't roll a black. He rolls a white. And then I think we figured out what happened. Yeah, he thought I was attacking Saw there. So K2 going to come up and perform an attack on Boba Fett, who spends the power token. K2 spending his power token as well. So stops the surges at least, but that is a really good roll. 4 blocks though for Boba from the block tokens. Let's see, that's going to stop that. So he takes 3 damage. That would have dealt a lot of damage. That would have dealt +2, Pierce 1. That should have dealt like 8 damage, but it only dealt 3 because of how insane Boba is. Okay, activated Jabba, focused up Boba, drew a card. And this is where I point out, hey wait, Cassian should have 5 damage on him. And I did say I was attacking Cassian, but I forgot to change the targeting symbol that was on Saw from the flamethrower. So we go ahead and re-roll the dice here. So took 7. So Cassian's at 7 and Saw's at 1. So Jyn Erso now going to activate. Is this the part where she goes nuts and kills 2 of my figures? Yep, she moves through and is going to go for an attack on Jawa, and she's expert. And Morgan placing her very nicely, so she'll be able to do the ranged attack on 3PO if he gets the kill on the Jawa. So spends the surge token. Tonfa attack on the Jawa. Doesn't save him with get down for the Jawa because of that Pierce 1. So dead Jawa. And then Saw discarding the Get Behind Me card to deal 1 damage to Gar Saxon, killing him. Weakens the... Here, I should put Gar Saxon's card in play. Uses Brutal Tactics to weaken the Super Commando. And now gets to perform an attack with Jyn Erso. And with that Pierce 1 innate, gets the 4 damage and kills 3PO. So just Jyn Erso cleaned up 3 figures that round. I guess technically 2, and then Saw cleaned up Gar Saxon, but still, that was probably one of the best Jyn Erso activations I've seen in a while. Shows what she can do and how effective she can be if you use her right. Alright, and now Chopper going to activate. Looks like I am all out since I lost my 3PO and Jawa activation there. And now Chopper going to go in for the ram on my Super Commando. 0 damage, but pulls him off the objective, which is painful because, yeah, I feel like Morgan had the advantage here on these objectives with so many figures that I had to deal with. Saw activating, going to trigger Cassian's that I had to on K2SO. And I'm going to come up and perform an attack on Boba here. Spends the power token. Boba is out of tokens, but he still has fuel upgrade, and just no surges to stop there. I mean, he stopped the surge from Saw as an 8, but that was stopped from the weaken. So that dealt, what is that, 5? Oh, I forgot to roll. I did forget to roll my defense dice here, so so I do take 3 damage from that. So Boba is now at 6 damage. He's got 8 health left and focus. And now Morgan is definitely winning on the objectives. He gets 2 points from Hera being down there. I think he actually got 4 because there were 2 strain tokens on there. So initiative passes back to me. And start of round, none for me. I'm going to play take initiative. And I do not have negation, so he's going to exhaust Hera. And he gets initiative here. And K2SO going to go for another attack on Boba. And this time he gets all the surges that he needs to bypass Boba's armor. 3, 4, 5, pierce 1, so doing 4 damage it looks like. Which leaves Boba at 4 health remaining. And K2 going to fall back just 1 space. And I mentioned if he had strength in numbers there, it would have been probably GG because he would just kill Boba here before he could activate. But I do get to activate my Boba. I believe this is part, yep, I'm going to play hit and run here. Hoping to get the kill on Cassian. Notice that Boba's basically just fighting these 3 figures by himself. That's 4, 9 plus 6. He's fighting 15 points worth of figures on his own. And he's pretty much, he's holding his own. He's not doing quite as much damage as they are to him, but he is holding his own. He has 14 points of cards effectively, since he has Headhunter and then half a point from extra armor. So hit and run to get 3 extra movement points. That kills Cassian. Deals the 3 damage I needed to kill him.
You won't get another chance at this, Admiral.
And uses heroic effort. So then what I should have done here is I should have just spent the 2 from hit and run on flamethrower here. And again, I make the mistake of reducing damage to Saw instead of K2SO. Discard Shirt Umwe's card with Headhunter. I weaken Saw and I'm deciding where to go here. I weaken Saw and K2SO, and then I also use Wrist Cord to pull Saw away from the edge, just to make it harder for him to follow Boba and get a follow-up attack. So I have 9 movement point total from hit and run and his movement. I've spent 4 on abilities, so I have 5 movement left, and that lets me move over here behind this ship thanks to mobile, which is very hard to attack him from there, especially with the impassable terrain right here that's kind of blocking movement. Alright, turret going to activate. Going to go after the Super Commando. Who is weakened, and unfortunately I do not roll a block, so I get hit by that weakened pretty hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, so 4 damage. So 4 and then cleave 1 onto the other commando. So I have a tough choice to make. I can try and kill this, try and kill turret, or try and kill Jyn Erso before she can activate, but I do the math, and without focus and with the weaken, it's pretty much impossible to kill Jyn Erso here. The problem is Jyn Erso can come up and probably kill Boba with that Pierce 1. Like, oh, I wrote it here, 46% chance for Jyn to kill Boba from where she stands. So I go for Chopper because he has not activated yet. So I figure if I can stop Chopper from activating, then I don't have to worry as much about Chopper killing my 3 health Super Commando here. So first one I'm going to attack, going to re-roll with Professional. So Pierce 1, Surge for +2, so that's 3 Pierce 1, so 2 damage. Oh, I do have heightened reflexes here, so it gives me 1 more damage, because I was already piercing one of it. So I do 3 damage. And the reason I did that is because I want to try and go for the kill with the rocket here. And unfortunately I do 0 damage. So I move down to the objective at least. Second one comes up, and can now can use its rocket to try and take out Chopper, and is able to at least. So rocket kills Chopper before he activates. And then trying to figure out where to put my Super Commando so he doesn't just die to Saw's attack. But let's see, I do go for the attack on Jyn Erso here. 3 damage with the Pierce 1 automatic. And I get the block token. So now we see Saw activating using Heart of Freedom, sadly. Gives him the movement he needs to get this attack that he needed. But let's see, he's doing 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 damage to Boba. And then he tries to activate Jyn Erso to go for the kill, but he forgot that I still have Jabba. And I'm up 24 to 17, so I realize that I can actually get Boba out of the way here. So I pay the 2 VPs. I don't know why I didn't attack. I guess I knew that this was the last round, so it would be interesting to see, though, if he could have killed Saw there. Had Saw had the 2 extra damage from the flamethrower. Let's do it here. 6. Oh, he would have taken 5 damage and died. Oh my gosh. Why do I do that to myself? So anyway, so I've put Boba out of reach of Jyn Erso if she wants to double attack him. She probably can't kill him with just the range attack, so... oops. Let's clear the dice. So now she's going to go for this. Super Commando gets the kill, goes to 21. And then, since with the extra movement from the baton, she's able to contest the objective down there, and so because of that, he is scoring the 4 VPs with Saw as well as with Turret, and gets 6 VPs for the win. So if I had killed Saw there, I think he still would have won by 2 points because of Turret, right? Oh no, I would have gone up to 26, 27. Also, I don't even know if I was scoring my kills from Jabba. Let's see, I killed Cassian, and I killed Baze, and I killed Chopper. Yeah, I probably wasn't. Yeah, so I think I would have won if I had not been reducing the strain damage on Saw and had been reducing it on K2SO instead. But that was a really good match. I really enjoyed that one. I thought Morgan played really well with the flanking maneuver, trying to flank me on both sides there. I thought I got off a nice kill on Baze with the Super Commandos. I think we get to see really how strong Super Commandos are when they have easy access to focus, either through Scum focusers or maybe Vader's Finest in an Empire list. Unfortunately, the airborne leadership ability on Gar Saxon didn't really come into play that round, just because they either overkilled or didn't have enough surges to make use of it. But I think we'll get to see more of them in action as we go on. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed that gameplay video, and we'll see you for the next one.